Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is David Lycett and it's a Leg Up Ability where we talk about issues facing equestrians with disabilities. In today's video, we are very lucky to be talking to Paralympian Breda Bernie. And in today's video, I will be talking with Breda about the issues facing potential and budding Paralympians in the equine world. So please join us in the really interesting chat. So Breda, if you want to introduce yourself.
Breda Bernie. My sport is or was equestrian at Paralympic level. And I've started riding since I was 5 before I could actually walk. So I started in Merino Clinic there in Bray, as it was seen as a good form of therapy to improve balance and coordination. And obviously it's like any sport that you love, it's a bug.
Yes.
So I then went on from Merino Clinic to join the Riding for the Disabled. So they were during my national school days. And I suppose that's how I got involved. That probably brings us up to, from that point, then joined Para Equestrian Ireland, and that was in 1998.
Um, so Breda, as a para-equestrian, what advice would you have for any budding para-equestrian who want to grow their career and to compete?
Well, I suppose the first advice would be, our first point would be to enjoy every day
Yeah.
in practice and in competition. And one point that I've learned that stands out, and particularly now, I mean, I can talk about it later. Now I'm a dressage judge. And when you're practicing, you have to imagine you're in the arena. And when you're in the arena, you have to imagine that you're in practice, that you're at
Oh,
home.
what?
Also, organization, to be organized is essential for any succession, and success breeds success.
Yeah.
Also, look at the various elements. It's like an ingredient of a cake, it's the same as the ingredient of a successful athlete.
Yeah.
And there are various elements that are essential. Obviously, the psychological element to it, the fitness, the knowledge, improvement of skills, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. And you're right. It basically once you have a step-by-step plan, and once you follow the steps, it
Oh
makes it
yeah, step
easier.
by. It's important to stick to routine.
Yes.
Now, obviously, with horses and probably with all sports, you're going to, not everything is going to go strictly by routine, particularly with horses. So you have to plan for the inevitable, for what it may be an alternative direction to where you want to go, but you have your coping mechanisms, so you put them into place.
And so the next question is actually by my co-presenter, and a very interesting question. And my co-presenter Heather, he is now in March hoping to travel to England to
Okay.
compete.
Yeah.
Um, as a Paralympian yourself, obviously you travel.
Yes.
How did you find that with traveling with a disability and your horse and everything?
Yeah. Well, the horse, I felt organizing the horse's transport was more difficult than my own. In
Okay.
fairness, the chef to keep at the time did a lot of the organization for the horse.
Yeah.
For horse transport, yes, there were things, all right. It was like packing for a baby.
Yes.
You still need to plan his feed. You still need to plan his rugs, his
Yeah.
supplies in a tack box on your way traveling. Again, then they I don't know if you know, but every horse has a passport, so the
Yeah.
markings would have to be correct and up to date, and the
Yeah.
vaccines would have to be correct and up to date. Then the difficulties encountered there, obviously you had to, because you have a disability, it was important to have a groom.
Yeah.
And then personally, Ireland have a great system. Is it OCS that provide the
Yes.
supports here in Dublin? It's the best in the world. They really provide a great system for people with disabilities traveling, and nothing is ever a difficulty with them. Now, have experienced coming back from various places, not as efficient, but having said that, could have been worse. I do remember one situation, one of our riders, part of her wheelchair was broken en route, and it was, little things like that
Yeah.
can set you back. I do remember we had to, during the ash cloud,
Oh
try, we
yeah.
were over, we were competing at the time over in Belgium.
Okay.
And so we had got over obviously by plane, but it was how would we get back to Ireland?
Yes.
So we all travelled in the horse lorry
Oh no.
back to back to Ireland. We had a great trip.
Yeah. And
Anyway, so yeah,
and
I mean, I think everyone can encounter difficulties, but it's how you manage it, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
And I like to say like she's nervous, not more. She's nervous more, but about her equipment, like her personal equipment getting
Our
damaged.
equipment. Okay, so
Yeah, and
like
still also like a
in,
stress of traveling. The stress of traveling.
okay, so you're saying
Nervous.
the para equipment, and what about traveling?
The stress.
Oh, the
The,
stress of traveling. Oh, well, obviously, the stress of traveling would be, for anybody, I suppose, it would be the change of, if there's a change of time zone,
yes.
would be one. And then the actual, when we're talking about time diverting partially, um, possibly should have mentioned it earlier, when you're competing in the lower grades, sometimes mornings suit um, people with disabilities better than evenings, or vice versa. And it can be unfortunate if you're a morning person and you're scheduled for the evening, but that's out of your control. Then going back, I suppose, to traveling, the difficulties of traveling. I suppose fatigue.
Yes.
It can take traveling, sitting in the one position or whatever. I have left leg foot drop as well, and partial numbness left leg. So yeah, you've added, like any disability, there are those added strains that might, sitting for long periods with my back wouldn't suit me. Probably not, doesn't, not good for you either. I don't know, but
No, it's not too bad for me. Like I'm not too bad, but I
yeah,
do know friends. I do have friends with disabilities who sitting in one place for a
yeah.
long period of time wouldn't be the easiest thing for them. The next question. In Ireland, what supports do you think are needed to have more people with disabilities to enter the sport?
The biggest difficulty I had with somebody, particularly involved in horses, would be um, the actually transporting of the horse, because I couldn't do it myself, or
Yeah,
grooming a horse. Okay, so what do they need in terms of help? I suppose it's all about information, isn't it? Where to go and where, who can assist,
yes,
Um, recently I attended an information day there with the Golfing Society, and like that they were brainstorming, and I think that was extremely useful.
Yeah, okay.
So from that point of view, the more people share their knowledge of different sports, the better.
Yeah.
Where would you need help? Finance would be one thing if they are entering into sport.
Yes.
Particularly equestrian sport. Then availability of, I suppose, flexibility around it.
Yes. Actually, I was thinking about it today because I was in a local stable giving lessons to this guy who had a disability.
Mm-hmm.
Accessibility of arenas. We need to
Which
make arenas more accessible and
arenas? Yes,
yeah,
yes, definitely.
uh,
Definitely arenas more accessible. Through our sport, or through my sport, what again, it was learning from others to
yeah,
see how best to adapt to yourself to suit your needs. But that was really how we learned.
yeah. And
Then, in fairness to the sport, it's quite advanced in people in disability sport. You have the likes of Paralympics Ireland for assistance, um, and well, obviously, if you're competing along that, if you've reached targets and you're on a whatever arrangement that is with Para-Equestrian Ireland and Paralympics Ireland.
yes,
So yeah, it'd be more. The biggest problem I encountered during the sport was the likes of horse transport, grooming, and making sure there was somebody around when I was training. I mean, there was no such thing of being able to go out and train on your own for safety reasons, and you couldn't get on. I walk with a walking aid. There's no way I would be able to get up and down off the horse on my own.
yes.
But yeah,
That
I was
last point was
yeah,
a really good point in terms of having someone with you.
yes, yeah,
But
absolutely.
in respect to some people, they may be able to get onto the horse themselves, and by needing someone with them all the time, just because they have a disability, it kind of makes it less accessible because they always have
Yeah,
to look for someone to help.
yes.
You know,
Apart from time out.
yeah,
Much as I love people or being with people or whatever, there's nothing, there's an escapism.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you and I might go to a horse, get on a horse, and go for a hack and get turn
Yeah,
off from the world. You know.
this is
But
it.
if we
So,
require people with disability to always have someone beside them, A, it takes away their autonomy, and B,
mhm.
it takes it more hassle for a basic hack. So
Yes. Yeah,
while we
definitely.
give them support, we need to give them more space. And
Yes.
I think it is another important question. Why do you think there is no show jumping in the Paralympics?
I would say purely from a safety point of view. Particularly in the lower grades in dressage, para-equestrian, there wouldn't, the riders wouldn't have sufficient balance. Possibly at the higher grade, yes. But I would imagine it's really down to the one thing, and that would be safety, because safety is paramount. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. But look, I have a disability, and my friend Heather had a disability, and they both jump. We both like jumping.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I agree that it is a safety issue, but I also think we should push the vote out and try to get as many people with disabilities jumping.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can any horse be a para horse?
Not every horse. Obviously, temperament is paramount. That's number one.
Yeah.
There are certain criteria per. There are some characteristics more suitable for grade 1 horse up to a grade 5 horse.
Yeah.
Grade 1 horse, the gait is essential, the conformation of the horse, but and then according to the rider, the level of education. You can't have a horse that's very too advanced for a novice rider. The partners at the end of the day, so they have to work together.
Yeah.
So that's really it. I mean, there's but it is essential. I mean, it's just, I suppose the bottom line is to be a team. That is established over time. You won't know it straight away, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Almost like everybody, like not every horse can compete.
No.
And the last question, get sort of it. Mares or Geldings? Which would you prefer?
Mares are Geldings. Mares can be tricky.
Yeah, they can be tricky.
They say a chestnut mare with 4 white socks.
I'm a mare.
I don't know.
I'm a mare man. I've always been a mare man. But
oh really?
I love my heart.
Why?
I like mares. But saying I do have
like a challenge.
Yes, I do like a challenge.
They can be challenging. So can geldings, but no, I mean I had a horse one time, and it was a great partnership. We were world ranking 3rd in my grade. I mean, we had great times. We had 2 national championships, 2 national championship wins in 2008 and 2010. So he brought me great luck. He really did. Yeah, I love it. So I do the dressage judging now. So I'm in Boswell now on this weekend in Wicklow, doing a bit of judging for able-bodied competitions, so which is great. Yeah.
That was a very interesting. And thank you very much for agreeing to the interview.
Not at all. Delighted to help.
And I hope we get to meet someday.
Absolutely.
Yes.